All right. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of the Divine Mind podcast. Today, we have the Patman Gaming with us. There he is on the left-hand side. Looking forward to chat to him. So he's a content creator for YouTube and Twitch specifically. Also does a little bit of work through Twitter, just staying engaged with everyone. But going to be really great. We're going to nerd out and chat about all the new Halo Infinite news that we've got. We're going to talk about hopefully some Zelda later as well. You can see the Zelda sword beside you on the wall there. And and just really get to know the Patman Gaming a little bit more. As always, guys, all of his links are going to be down in the description below. So if you want to skip this and go straight down there and catch up on some of his content first, you can do that. But make sure that we show a really big welcome and let him know that you came from the podcast if you do end up going and checking out his stuff. But before I say anything else, how you going?
I'm good, man. How you doing?
So good. I've been really enjoying these podcasts and getting to know people from the community more and more, especially, like I didn't know you beforehand, right?
Right.
I love that, talking to someone, I get introduced to a new content creator who loves the same games that I do,
Yeah.
and I can now get into your streams and be a part of it as well. So super excited to chat. But how you feeling after we've just had a really big, week of E3 stuff? How you been feeling after
that? I think it's safe to say the hype on the in the Halo community is kind of it's pretty big right now, man. I know I saw some of your comments on Infinite, and it's been surreal. Like it's just I've never left Halo. I've been there for the last 20 years. I'm a firm believer every Halo game has its problems. Yes, even the Bungie ones. Yes, the 343 ones. But I've found something to enjoy in every Halo game. But with this game, it seems like there's a lot more people coming back around to it, it's cool to see the community buzzing again. I guess is the best way to put it. It's been quite surreal, honestly.
Yeah, I agree. And like just before we started talking, so I'll sending you the link to this call. I saw that there was just conversations between the devs and the public about Halo Infinite stuff. And I just love that, right? Because it just shows that they're so confident with what they put out that, they want to engage and talk about it more. Even if it's about silly little things or whatever, but just, it just shows that, that extra year that they got from delaying it was exactly what they needed to be feeling really proud about what they've done and excited to kind of share that with everybody. And that's the kind of buzz we were missing last year, right? Because you had so many split on it. I still think that, we got people that are always going to be split in Halo. You've got the people just, and that's how it is. But I loved everything we saw. What did you think about the gameplay reveal?
I loved it, and I absolutely agree with what you said. I mean, when you have a franchise as big as Halo, you're going to have people that regardless, you cannot please everybody. I do not envy 343 in the position that they're in at all. But like even look at Star Wars. Star Wars is another great example. Big franchise like that, you're going to have people that just do not like anything new. They're like, oh, the old stuff is the best. It's always going to be that way. But as far as the gameplay, man, I'll admit I was kind of this might be a hot take, but I'm the type of guy for that. Like Halo 3 equipment always bothered me to an extent. I still, enjoyed Halo 3's multiplayer and liked it. I always thought the equipment was kind of, like somebody goes around a corner, they have a regen field. You could tilt the turn of a battle instantly in Halo 3, and I never liked that about equipment. But it seems it's pretty decently balanced in Infinite from what we've seen. And I also like the fact that there's a visual identifier in Infinite, which I actually relayed to the devs. I was like, I hope you guys are doing a visual identifier for equipment, so I know going into a battle, like, hey, this guy has so-and-so, I should probably plan my engagement around that. Because I think that's a core thing about Halo is how tactical it can be. You have to choose your battles. You have to make important decisions before you go into battle. And I think that was really cool of what they've done with the equipment. So I look forward to playing that.
Yeah, same. I was watching some of your videos before we talked, and just love. You had some very similar opinions to me, which I love, because I was like, there we go.
Yeah,
we're on the same page. But what did you think about things like so just to add quickly to the equipment side of things, that was my first thing when I watched it live. I was so underwhelmed because I was like, that was just equipment flooded. right? Like on
Yeah.
Sunday, I was just like, we just saw, the bounce, what's it called? Bouncing back the amp.
The
Uh,
repulsor on the shield. Yeah.
yeah, the repulsor, and we saw
Yep.
the threat detector,
Yep.
which is the blue, thing that pulses and shows people behind walls and stuff. And then
Yep.
it was literally after using the deflector, he's gone under the bridge. There's a wall, like the drop shield,
Drop shield. Yep.
and then there's a guy coming across
With the grapple shot. Yeah.
and I was just like, geez, man, like this the game looks good, but like that to me, I was like, wow, like that's just going to be so many more things to kind of have to, keep track of on the
Yeah.
on a map. And then I read through the article a little bit more, and it's all one use equipment, which
Right.
well, what's what it seems like it sounded like in there. Um, and it's also meant to make a change in the tide,
Yeah.
right? So
Exactly.
it's not meant to be like, okay, I'm going to walk around a wall, put the drop shield down, gather information, and then walk around again and do it again. It's kind of just like, you've got this one thing to use, and it looked reasonably balanced. Like, the drop shield, you can still get shot at while you're doing it. You can still
Yep.
get like all of it. You're still kind of getting damage put on you. So I was really happy to kind of go back and think about it a little bit more in hindsight.
Mhm.
But what do you think about things like holding invis and overshield?
That dude, that's a game changer, honestly. It may not seem to some people like it's a big change up in the gameplay, but it's huge in my opinion. And I actually talked about this in a video I think I did like yesterday or 2 days ago, and I was just like, I need more information on it because there's still questions like, all right, well, is it on a dynamic timer? Is it on a fixed timer? If I grab overshield and hold on to it because I'm not getting killed, and can it never respawn? Can I prevent, another team from grabbing an overshield? There's just some questions left for it. I'm always open to change in the formula with Halo.
Mm,
I don't believe a series should stay stagnant. So it's definitely something that can, switch it up a little bit, but I don't want to judge it too quick before I know what more details I should say. So,
yeah.
um, that's definitely, and what you said about the equipment, I absolutely agree. It just seemed like, I think with that gameplay, that 2-minute gameplay trailer, they just wanted to focus on all the new stuff,
Show it off.
just at a rapid pace. We got a definitely better look at it with the 12-minute deep dive Vidoc. And yeah, I still have concerns with like grapple shot, because it seems like you could use grapple multiple times, but everything else you said is like a one and done kind of thing. But they even said like equipment has a focus. It's almost like a power weapon now.
Yeah.
So, at the beginning of a match, I could choose to go for rocket launcher, or I could choose to go for grapple and make a play on a objective or something. So it's definitely I'm gonna have to train my brain a little bit different on how I'm playing it. But at the end of the day, man, the number one thing, it looks fun. And that's all I care about, and I'm a sucker for customization when it comes to customization in games and grinding out content, which I feel Halo's kind of been lacking. Like Halo's always been behind a little bit in that area. Gameplay has always been king in Halo. Halo's always been ahead of the curve with that. But games like Call of Duty and stuff have been doing like camos on guns and customization since 2007 when Halo 3 came out, and we never got camos until Halo 4. So, I'm a sucker for that kind of stuff. I got something to grind towards, and the game is fun. Look
Mm,
out.
yeah.
I'm gonna be spending a lot of time on that game.
I completely agree with you. That's one of the reasons why games like COD lock me in so hard when they
Yep.
first come out, right? Like I've gotten dark matter in every Black Ops
Yep.
that I can remember. Like I think since it became a thing, right? Because I love
Yep.
that idea of getting into like, all right, I'm using SMGs. I get into this whole play style for SMGs, and I'm getting that challenge,
Exactly.
right. And then you're getting more experience, so it's helping you level up. You're improving at the game, and then you've got this like literal on your gun like badge to show people like
Exactly.
look how good I am with this gun, right? And then
Yeah.
you've got it on everything. And there's always, for this round, it was like using the rocket launchers and stuff was the really hard thing, because you needed to kill. Anyway, it
Oh,
was
with Cold War, yeah, it was ridiculous. I got dark matter in Cold War too. It was it was not fun with the rocket launchers.
yeah, and like there was what was it like the grenade launcher one, right? We had to kill
Oh,
vehicles and stuff with it, but it wasn't a one hit
ridiculous.
kill on anything, right?
I actually waited. I waited for that. I waited till the crossbow came out.
Yeah.
And I did the crossbow because I was like, I'm not doing the grenade launcher, man.
And I was doing the old what is it for the fire team? The really big
The
map,
dirty bomb.
Dirty Bomb. That's right.
Yeah.
I was literally spawning in, swapping to it, coming to the ground, looking for someone on one of those like a car or you know, mongoose or whatever,
or a snowmobile or something. Yeah.
or something, floating at them, and then hoping to get close enough to hit him. And then if I didn't, I just nade the ground, spawn again, do it again. But you know,
That's dedication right there.
that's what I'm hoping for Halo Infinite, right? Because
Yeah.
I love that challenge, and then completing it and being like, I've got this, and I know
Yeah.
how hard it is for everyone else to get it. So if I see someone else with it, I'm like,
Exactly.
I respect the grind. You
Yeah,
know?
exactly. That's what Halo needs to get back to, man. Like we had that in Halo 3. Like the katana was a flex. Yeah, that's what I call it. You got to flex on people in multiplayer games. You got to, you know, there's something about showing off something that you worked hard for and not being able to buy it out of a loot box or, you know, get a random chance at getting it. And our 343s already seem to taking that feedback. I mean, they've done it with MCC. We've seen a bunch of those multiplayer exclusive camos in MCC, which is really cool. I love that idea. Yeah. And then with Infinite, that Yoroi armor or the samurai armor that everybody's seen, that's something you have to earn through doing events in game. And they've already confirmed, you know, like, hey, we're going to have stuff you can only earn by playing the game and doing challenges and doing certain things. So I love that, man. I'm all about that. I think video games have kind of gotten away from that, and I think they need to get back to that. I know a lot of people are like, well, I don't have time to grind that out in the game. Well, you know, there's plenty of other stuff for you to get, but you should still reward the players that are loyal to the game, playing it, you know, and doing certain things and doing challenging stuff. You should reward them with that. Yep. And then the people who don't have time, there's still plenty of other cosmetics for you to get, you know, in the game. So that's my opinion on it. Everybody might not agree with that, but
no, I think you're right, man. And like a good example of that's Halo 5, right? You get to 152 and you unlock a rec pack that still gives you experience boosts. Right. You, like I did it just because I said I was going to do it. And
same. Yeah.
And when I got it and I unlocked it and I saw the emblem, which is everything was just super underwhelming, right? And it's such a big grind,
huge grind, man.
You know, like, and because of the way that it's just not worked out, wasn't worked out properly. You've got to play Warzone to get it. And I don't even like Warzone. If I could just sit down, I could have just played a ranked playlist all day. I would have had a much better time going through and grinding this experience, right? But that's exactly what you said. It's like Halo 5 kind of missed that. And I think that would have retained a lot more people if, you know, the rec packs that you got when you hit a special, you know, Spartan rank, if that had been something that kind of showed I'm at this point, you would have had more people the ranks playing more. You know, if there had been things for each season that wasn't just you know, you log on to the season and you get a new emblem. If it had been like, you know, if there had been something that was reach gold, reach platinum, reach champion, whatever, and you get something specific for each of those, like it's I'm super excited to see how they do it in Infinite. But how would you like to see it working? Do you have like a formula for it?
Well, first with the 152 thing, I absolutely agree, man. It was not worth the grind. Especially you get that inheritor pack and you're like, dude, inheritors, I'm gonna get haunted helmet or something, you know, like but no, you don't. So I'm still hoping for something in Halo 5. You know, they've already, or in Halo Infinite, they've already confirmed obviously the armor coating and the weapon coating for 152 grinders, but they said these are a couple of the few rewards that you guys will see for. So there still might be hiding something. I personally, I don't know how you feel about this. I think Halo 5 is the sweatiest Halo that's probably ever come out, man. Like you take a couple of days off of Halo 5, it's like taking months off that game. You're already behind the curve. You have to keep up with that game. Even social is extremely competitive with the matches. So I think of a funny 152 reward for Halo Infinite would be like a armor effect of sweat dripping from your Spartan. I think that would be an awesome, awesome armor effect. I would like to see something like that. And one more reward or even haunted helmet would be sweet. Like I said, because it was inheritor. But, you know, I think there's going to be, obviously we know about the battle pass. So I think obviously having something at the end of the battle pass that is really cool for the grind, maybe animated camos would be cool to see in Halo. We've never had that for guns in Halo. Yep. So animated camo would be really cool to see at the end of a battle pass, or maybe even say you earned that samurai armor, but having a variant at the end of the battle pass would be really cool for people who want to grind out the battle passes. And we know, and it's nice because we know that the battle passes never expire if you buy them. And even if you don't buy them, say you're on season 5 of Halo Infinite and you weren't there for launch, you can still go back in season 5 and buy the season 1 through 4 battle pass if you want to grind that out. I think that's really a really good idea from 343. Almost almost mirroring the obviously we're going to have to pay for this battle pass, but almost mirroring the MCC season system, which is I thought was a really good system. So
Yeah.
I definitely think there should be something at the end of the battle pass for people who grind that, and then in game, I would love. People aren't going to like to hear the COD route, but I would love to see mastery camos for certain guns, just like COD does. You know, get a certain amount of kills, headshots, whatever. Make it creative.
Yeah.
Get double kills or melees with this gun. It doesn't matter. You know, something to show off, like, hey, I've mastered this weapon.
Yeah.
And they kind of experimented with it in Halo 5 after introducing that target master,
Yeah.
the Magnum and stuff. But I want them to, you know, take it to the next level and kind of catch up with, you know, everybody else in the FPS genre.
Yeah. Yeah. I agree. I think you know, a good way to do it would just be making it so it's like UNSC weapons, right? I would just love just that, just even just give me that as a little taster, see how it works, right?
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
like, you know, if it's going to be assault rifle starts in a certain playlist, then assault rifles should have their mastery camos, right?
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
going to be BR starts in a competitive playlist, it should have its own camos, right?
Yeah.
Have
Absolutely.
as a secondary, then that should have it. That's how I kind of think would be a really easy way to do it, is just weapons that you automatically spawn with in whatever
Yes.
modes it is need to have something, so that, you know, because on the first like few weeks of it releasing, if you're not like finishing a game and have like 30 things popping up on the screen, I just leveled up, you just got a camo, you just progressed the battle pass, you know,
Yeah.
have that, you're going to lose a lot of attention from the younger generation, because that's all they want is that instant, you know,
That instant gratification. Yeah.
think of Call of Duty, right? You get a single kill in Call of Duty, 4 medals on the top of the
Right.
screen. Numbers on the screen. You get a kill,
Yeah.
numbers everywhere, lots of things coming up. You get to call in a big, you know, weapon. You know, like that is. I don't want Halo to do that, but I'm just saying that like there needs to be an element of that kind of like instant gratification at the end of games, especially
Exactly.
first, you know, to get people really wanting to grind it, because, you know, realistically, you can have so many people that buy this game just for the campaign because it looks fantastic.
Yep.
And what we want to do is get people from that campaign mentality to the social mentality or custom games, and then from custom games to social, or social to ranked. And that's how we create this like much more, you know, organic community of people that it kind of matures on its own, right?
Yeah.
And then, yeah, because ultimately the people that play the game long term are either people like you and me,
Right.
or pro players, or the people that might play maybe once a week on the weekend with their mates. You know, that's like your kind of like the 3 people that end up playing the game the longest.
Right.
But for sales off the bat, you get people that are just going to play through the campaign once, go and play other games, and then they might come back to it 6 months later. So I think that we've just got to find a way that locks people in early and goes, oh, I love to play it on campaign. You know, a good example is the commendations in Reach.
Yeah.
Right? I loved beating a level in Reach, and it gave me like, this is the fastest time that went through it. Here's all the commendations that you progress through, all of that type of stuff. So Reach is probably one of the most played campaigns that I've ever played, like if any game that I've ever played, because it had that element to it. And so I think that that's really going to be important for Halo Infinite as well. But do you think that something like that's important?
Oh, absolutely. And it seems like we got confirmation of daily challenges returning for the first time since Reach with Infinite. They showed the little mobile app screenshot that they're reworking with Waypoint, and it said daily challenges, events, battle pass. All that stuff is absolutely important. You have to incentivize the player, like you said, to come back, especially with the competition that Halo is going to face this year. You got Battlefield coming out. I know we haven't seen Call of Duty yet, and even though I liked Black Ops Cold War for what it was a hot mess on launch. It still to this day has a bunch of issues, but there's still something to learn from those games, and there's still things that those games do better at incentivizing players than Halo has done in the past. So especially going free to play is huge for the Halo community and keeping players invested because it's free. You can draw in a bunch of new players, but with Halo Infinite trying to be a 10-year game or more, they're definitely going to have to do things like that. And I think they are. I actually don't even have a doubt in my mind that they're going to incentivize people, even maybe playing campaign. We saw that with MCC. You know, you beat the legendary campaigns, you get the Helio Skrill in Halo 5. They ended up later giving that away in a rec pack, but you know, I think they learned from that as well, because they already said, hey, anything you earn in the battle pass, anything you earn in the game, we're not going to sell it in the store.
Yeah.
Sounds good to me. You know, like that they're learning, you know, the 343 is learning from their mistakes. You touched on this earlier, man. Like people give 343 a lot of crap, and some of it's justified and some of it I don't think is, but at the same time, they're doing a really, really good job with being transparent lately.
Yeah.
If they're holding onto something and they're like, hey, it's not ready yet, they're telling us why they're holding onto it. If they're with the coding system, they're like, just wait until you see how it works before you guys judge the codings. And people were worried about spending money on these kind of things, and there's been confirmed there's plenty of codings in the game at launch, stuff to earn in game. And that's all I could ask for. It's a free to play game. You're going to have monetization, and yeah, it's going to look, predatory to some people about the microtransactions, but it's the gaming world we live in now. It's inevitable with the microtransactions, and it seems like it's a pretty fair system with Infinite. Obviously, we have to wait and see. Yeah. But everything we've heard, I'm down for it, man. And I think, like you said, all that incentives for players is absolutely key to keeping people coming back, and I don't think they'll have a problem with that.
Yeah. Well, I think, just to touch on the microtransaction side of things again, I think people's biggest problem with microtransactions is there's not enough content to unlock organically. So if that's an issue, people are like, so I've got to buy all this other stuff, right? Even if it is free to play. Okay. But that's one issue with it, is if there's so much stuff that you can play through organically and unlock, then people won't focus on the microtransactions until they're finished getting those things as much, right? The other thing would be that if the microtransactions is like a one and done, right? So you pay for something, you get something, and then someone else is going to be able to get it in a different way. Or if you said it's the reverse, you get something through grinding the game and you buy it in a microtransaction, that also annoys people. And I think from what we've seen in all of the announcements so far, they've been able to identify that and go, okay, these are the two things that aren't going to happen, right? It's going to be plenty for you to unlock organically. You're going to have the battle pass. It's never going to disappear. If you unlock it in the battle pass, you can't buy it otherwise. If you unlock it from gameplay, you can't. So I think that stuff's really important. But something that took me by surprise, but the more that I think about it, the happier I am with the decision, is getting rid of red versus blue and having buttons appear, how you create them. What are your thoughts on that?
I'm all for it. Actually, I've been one of the few people who, when that rumor came out, I actually said this the night before the stream happened. I was like, they're like, what do you think about red versus blue disappear, Pat? I was like, I'm fine with it, and I actually expected it, because first of all, they are trying to push codings. That's going to be one of their main ways of monetization in Halo Infinite. And what better way to push codings than to take away red versus blue and have everybody show their Spartans colors. Now, I thought it might have created more controversy, because the main argument when codings came out, like, I can't choose my Spartans colors. And people were like, well, it's mostly red versus blue in multiplayer anyways, unless you're playing Infection or free for all. So what does it matter? And now that went away. But it seems everybody's kind of cool after seeing the coding system and, how different everything is. Like, the codings are really cool. It's almost like Destiny shaders in a way, where it almost changes the material of the armor. So you could have some chromed out looking armor. You could have some matte looking finishes. There's a lot of different things they could do with that coding system. And as long as, like what you said, as long as there's plenty to unlock in the base game without people having to spend money on their favorite colors, then I think it's a win. I'm completely fine with no more red versus blue. And the fact that you could customize the outline of the Spartans is really cool. So you could go in your settings. If you don't want them to appear as a red outline, you want them green for whatever reason, you could do that. And I think that's a really cool new customization option. And then that changes, for people that don't know, that changes your, like, say you're playing capture the flag and you have the enemy set as green outlines. Well, their flag is going to be green and their base is going to have a green banner on it. So that's a really cool feature, I think. Cause I don't know how the hell they're going to do multi-team though. I don't know how that's going to work. Maybe there won't be any multi-team. I don't know. But, so far so good with that.
It'll just be every other team has an outline to show that it's an enemy, I'd say, when you think.
But like
enemy
if there was ever bases, like I guess there's no really objective in multi-team, so you could just, everybody's just outlined as an enemy. If there ever was, objectives like a flag or anything, I don't know how they would do that, but I'm not even going to worry about. I don't really play multi-team, so
yeah. I love it, but I think it'd be something similar to free for all, I guess, right? Like it'd just be
Yeah,
buttons, however, and if you've got, you know, two teammates on the same team and, you know, their color is set as something, they step in, it'll be that color primarily. If they
yeah,
leave and the other teammates in there, it'll change the other teammate's color. I guess something like that, you know, like
yeah,
because yeah, it'd be, yeah, I think that'd be I love the idea of doing it. Like it's one of those things that I think people are overlooking a little bit, or like not quite thinking about the significance of it enough. And that's that this is one of those things that when we kept asking for, we want something really different, we want something that's like, you know, maybe not groundbreaking but a little bit revolutionary. This is revolutionary for Halo, for there to be
right.
no such thing
Absolutely.
as red versus
Yeah,
blue anymore. And like you said, it opens up the door now for people to really care about what their Spartan looks like even more than what they did
yep,
at Reach, and everyone loved Reach's customization, right?
yes, yeah, absolutely.
And you know, I think they said that on launch there's going to be over 1 million different combinations, right,
Yep.
for what your Spartan can look like. Like, you know, that already should have lots of people just excited to just get into grind this game. So, you know, really interesting. The other thing that I wanted to bring up is I've got some friends, like in real life friends that, you know, aren't as invested into gaming as I am and into Halo as I am. And we've got a little Halo chat, and I asked them what they'd like to see in the game, right?
Hmm.
And one of my friends typed up all of, you know, this is exactly what I was looking through, and I was reading through it, and I was like, you know what? As far as like hitting the nail on the head for what the average consumer of Halo would like, I think they did an amazing job of it, right?
Yeah.
How do you think that competitive is going to work? So for those die-hard fans that are like, you know, the ones that want to play competitively.
As far as like a what, like ranking system, like arena is going to be tough, man. Like
Mm,
obviously 4-on-4, we already have confirmation of that. The one thing that stood out to me in the reveal trailer was AR starts, which I've never been a big fan of AR starts.
yeah.
I'm down to try it, but competitive is definitely going to be a different beast. Halo 5's arena was Halo 5 is my second favorite multiplayer in the series. Let's just get that out the way right now. Halo 2 is my favorite, and then Halo 5, and then probably Halo 3 for me.
Mhm.
Um, I loved Halo 5's arena personally, and I think they had good groundwork. Halo 343 has a pro team, obviously. Once again, you know, with Halo Infinite, and it's gonna be interesting to see though. Like the matchmaking system's is a big problem right now, obviously in Halo 5, but it's almost 6 years old now, so I don't really buy too much into that. As everybody who knows, Josh Mankey left. I actually think he did a great job with the MMR system and CSR system in Halo 5. So it's gonna be pretty interesting to see how 343 replaces him.
Mm,
But competitive is gonna be huge. I mean, they already partnered with Esports Engine, and they're supposed to have a year roadmap out for you know, events and stuff. So you know, Tashi's at 343 kind of leading that whole charge there,
mm.
and it's going to be interesting to see. They definitely have to. Halo has to come back in a big way with competitive, man. um Obviously even starts is huge for Halo. That Halo 5 had that, of course, but we didn't have that in Reach or 4. So that is big. I mean, I guess with competitive, you did the Reach settings once they got updated were pretty good, but um
Yeah.
it's definitely going to be interesting to see. Halo needs to be relevant. Halo needs to appeal to the casuals, of course, and Halo 5 was kind of more geared towards, I would say, the more competitive side of things instead of the casuals, when it really should be the other way around, honestly, because Halo was always a really fun game, but had a competitive side to it for people who wanted to adjust the settings.
Yeah.
And I think that's what they're getting back to, with especially with the focus on big team.
Yeah.
Big team battle is very, you know, a casual playlist, but it's fun. It's the whole Halo sandbox thrown into one. And then you let the community help you with doing the competitive side of things. And I don't think we'll have a problem with that with 343. I think they're really ready to embrace the community and feedback and go from there. What are your thoughts on competitive?
I think I agree with a lot of what you said there. My biggest concern is that I love Halo 5, same as you.
Yeah.
Loved the matchmaking of it. Probably for me, Halo 3, Halo Reach, Halo 5, right?
Mhm.
And you know, I loved it, but I just, you know, it can feel like you're headbutting a wall, right? When you're playing
Yeah.
it, especially if you're trying to play it competitively. Um,
Yeah.
and then in the exact same way, but for the opposite reason, if you try to play it socially, You know, like it just doesn't feel like, I just can't ever pick up the controller for Halo 5 and sit down to just relax. Unless
Right.
unless I'm playing Super Fiesta, right? Which is
Right.
because it's just completely random chaos. You know, a lot of it is super one direction map. So it doesn't matter how good you are. It's just,
It's just chaos.
yeah,
Yeah.
chaos, right? But other than that, Halo 5 is so hard to play in a way that makes you just want to sit down and grind it out with your friends. And then, that's why, the group of friends that I was just talking about before, they fell off with Halo really early on because two things happen. I was in Onyx Champ, right? For most of the time when I'm playing ranked. If I go to play with them, they get absolutely trashed because the game's expecting me to carry them.
Carry them. Yep.
That shouldn't happen, right?
Yep.
It needs to be a way that those guys are playing with people at their skill. If we want to play ranked together, we can't. It either just shouldn't put us in a game because
Hmm.
we're two different skill levels, or there should be a really easy way for us to go in and play a social playlist, right? That is
Yep.
completely social and it's a random mix. Maybe we're going to get a team of of four guests, right?
Yeah.
Playing four-way split screen, and we trash them. Maybe we're going to come up against the group, Mint Blitz and Eli X and Ishi
Oh
and
God.
yeah, and Farah. They're all playing together.
Right.
I don't care. I'd be down to get absolutely destroyed.
Right.
4 out of the 10 games that I play. I wouldn't care
Yeah.
about that. Halo 5, though, it feels like, they want you so badly to have that 50% win ratio that I think that was too much of a focus. So I think
Yeah.
competitive needing to work in Halo Infinite, it has to be the type of thing that new players need to get destroyed in ranked.
Yeah.
That's my first thing. They need to get destroyed initially. Okay.
Right.
So that's like, okay, and I think social's the right place for that to happen. And then they come
Yeah.
in ranked, and they play in ranked, and they start off playing against people their skill level. They get to the point where they're kind of at that plateau, right?
Hmm.
And then that plateau causes some really wonderful things to happen, I think, in the ecosystem, which is I want to get from 25 to 30. How do I do it?
Hmm.
Either I start playing with somebody that's in that 25 to 30 range that's slightly better than me and I learn things, or I jump online and I start watching, Patman Gaming. He's streaming and he's a 40, right? And he can
Yeah.
teach me through his YouTube videos, his content creation, how to improve. And then you're building fans of the game around content creators that are putting out content for the game. And I think that's like the biggest thing that's kind of missing in the rank system now, is that like you kind of hit this plateau, and to improve you might jump online and quickly look for something, but the skill gap to hit those things is really difficult, and you're
Yeah.
not ever going to get to play with somebody that's at that level who's going to take the time to teach it to you, right?
Yeah. Exactly.
It's too big a skill gap, and they too casually throw champions and diamonds even together, right? Like
Yeah.
champions Nexus really need to, I guess, it's population, you can argue, and all that type of
Yeah.
stuff, but
Yeah.
at launch the game needs to be this super inclusive, like here we go, and then it kind of finds its pace, and social should always kind of stay like this. It should do some sort of skill-based matchmaking, but it should
Yeah.
allow you to play with friends and one person be a pro player and one person never have played the game, and still be able to find you matchmaking that can be enjoyable, and you can take your time. Like when I play with my mates in real life, I want to jump in a warthog and I want to drive them off the map 3 times in a row until everybody's
Exactly.
aging, right? And I don't want that to annoy the rest of my team, and I don't
Right.
want that to, and I want to be able to have that Halo fun, right?
Exactly.
We were all joking with the red versus blue gone. We're all going to be betraying each other for the first like 20 games we play, and just being like, "Oh, sorry, man, I couldn't tell."
Right.
It's red.
I'm not used to this, man.
Yeah.
I'm used to, solid colors. I'm sorry.
Exactly. So I think, I don't know, for me, and competitive is probably my biggest focus, because we're going to have a competitive pro team going into Halo Infinite.
Mhm.
The big things that I need to see to make it work is that it has to have, we've got to have that roadmap there. That roadmap needs to be inclusive. I'd love to see them taking on board things from other games and their esports, competitive esports worlds that work really well.
Mhm.
And I think that, yeah, it's got to have its room for growth. So right now, Europa Halo, I love the guys over there. They do so much work for the European Halo scene in putting on competitions and trying to find sponsors and being entertaining and putting out content. I think that we need to recognize that there is that community there, that if we can include that community easier, easier with the American, North American, Canadian, community as well, then we're going to have more eyes in the game and more total population playing the game. Same thing with the Oceanic region, which is obviously what I care a lot about as well, is it needs to have its own, competitive driver that forces people to take that leap from social to competitive and have an easy way to do it. And like, so right now, the big issue is if you're a social player that's playing and really enjoys it and wants to get competitive in the Oceanic region, you can't. You'll just get absolutely torn apart because the skill gap between someone who's social that wants to start playing competitive and the bottom of the barrel competitive players, that skill gap is huge, right?
Right. Yep.
And the skill gap between the bottom of the barrel competitive player and our top two teams maybe is huge as well.
Yeah.
So I think, competitive to work, it needs to have a way where we can take those two top competitive teams in each region away and let them play and compete and have opportunities internationally to either bring back the secrets and kind of help the community grow, or also give those other teams an opportunity to catch up by inviting more and more people in, getting a diverser range of skill levels and potential teams, and then different opportunities to compete. I think all of that stuff is like really important for the rank side of things to work. But, all in all, if there's 1 million people playing Halo, the game will be more competitive.
Yeah, absolutely.
So in the end, as long as they're creating a fun game that's engaging and gets people wanting to play it more and more, I think that the competitive side of things will really take care of itself. I'd really love to see them doing competitions that don't have financial rewards. I'd love them to see competitions that have like a flex kind of giveaway at the end, whether it's a shader that's specifically for I placed top 3 in this competition. I think that would be a super important thing for them to do, and that to be like an in-game thing as well. Again, maybe for like each region. And then obviously the connection is always going to be a thing, but I do think that they should have, representatives being able to participate in an online competition and say, I've done this, just to make it more inclusive. And like I said, not a financial thing, because too many players, I think, in the Halo world think that they're that top 1% and deserve to make money from it. But I don't think that we're there yet, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I absolutely agree.
So so I think that would be a really important thing, is to have these opportunities for people to compete, have something to show off and say, hey, I'm so much better than the rest of the world, but I'm not quite making $100,000 per competition, or $10,000 per team, player for these type of things. So on the flip side, I do think we need to have major events that have that huge prize pool that entice, players back to Halo that have maybe gone to Call of Duty or Fortnite or anything like that. I think that would be interesting. And I think that would be that was a long thing for competitive, so I'm sorry.
No problem.
But it's I think I love having the opportunity to get it off my chest, because I think there's so many issues with how good Halo 5 was as a competitive game in this last 6 years, but how much it missed out on because it just wasn't executed at launch as well as it should have been, and then didn't follow through. So I think that's a big issue. But what's the thing you're looking forward to most for Halo Infinite, like for you as an individual?
Personally, growth of my channel, hopefully. It's a really exciting time. I'm going all in on Halo Infinite, man. Like I'm gonna try to take it. I've never taken Halo 2. Halo's always been my main game, but I've never taken it so seriously where I was consciously looking to get better at the game and to be good. I've always been, I would say I'm an above average Halo player, but I'm not some like semi-pro or anything like that. I'm like Onyx. Halo 5, I was Onyx, and like in Slayer, or, certain playlists I could get the champ. But, I want to take it seriously. I want to definitely commit to the grind, first of all, get better at the game. I have a dedicated team that I met on late in Halo 5's life cycle that I roll with now. So we all plan on playing together and all getting better. But the number one thing for me is to grow as a content creator. I have goals. I think I have the talent to get to where I want as far as content creation. So I'm going to really, really push for that. It's going to be hard because there's already a lot of people covering Halo again, that kind of are coming back. So it's going to be a tough grounds to grow, but at the same time, sometimes, if the big people are covering it, it's good for content creation as a whole. You could, even the small guys like me can find their little niche in the Halo community. So that's my number one goal, is just to grow to where I want to grow with Halo Infinite. I mean, people like Uber Nick, who he told me, he was like, I had 500 subs, man, when Halo 5 came out. He's like, you got a good head start right now. So, anything is possible. So I'm going to take that for what it's worth, and try to like put my head down and work to, get where I want to go. What about you? What are your goals for Infinite?
I want to make sure that the oceanic scene, especially Australia, is known internationally. I would say that's
Good.
probably like our biggest goal. Content creators, pro players, I want them all to have the opportunity to get over and play in the mainstream Halo and really kind of start putting, Australian players on the map. That's my
Yeah.
biggest goal for it, right? But you brought up something interesting that I was going to ask you anyway. Is I had a dream the other night that they integrated into Halo Infinite like a really efficient stream of content creators into the Infinite dashboard, right?
Yeah.
So hear me out. I want your opinion on this. You're
Okay.
logging in and you see, campaign, multiplayer, custom games, theater, right? And then you see content, and it's just or like some content creation or something like that. You click on that, and up comes all of the people that are playing Halo Infinite that have linked up to Halo Waypoint and put in their Twitches and their YouTubes and whatever, right? And
Hmm.
content that maybe hits a hashtag or something that they set up gets put into this thing, into this live feed of uploaded content. So if you get on for the day and you're just like, I'm going to check what's on this feed, you can jump in there and you can see Hydrisney, which is my personal channel. I hit this clip that I'm really proud of, and it's sitting right there. You can see that Patman Gaming's just gone live 5 minutes ago. You should check him out. You can see Ubernick has just been streaming for 10 hours, and he's doing a playthrough of the campaign and whatever. And it should be all together, and it not have like a specific ranking system of content. It's just whatever happens most recently live.
Yeah.
Um, I think that would just be a really awesome way of being able to integrate a way to support content creators for the game, and that with that organic growth. What do you?
Yeah. I think that's an awesome idea, man. I love that you said you had a dream about Halo Infinite, because I thought I'm the only person that actually dreams of Halo. Like, I've had several dreams about Halo Infinite.
Yeah.
And yeah, I think that's a great idea, man, honestly, because one thing I'll be honest with, as far as like with 343 goes, it seems like they really care more about the bigger people. That would really give smaller people a chance, especially like you said, with if it's certain hashtags, or recently who went live or who posted a recent video. That gives everybody a chance. Like you said, it have to have some sort of verification system. Obviously, you don't want just random people just having it, but people who've linked their Waypoint profiles and set it up and gone through some sort of verification process. I think that would be honestly really, really cool to do. And I mean, they've done the grassroots program. So 343 obviously has investment in the community. They know that's free advertising. Like, content creation is huge nowadays, but at the same time, I think there can be some favorites played, or things like that, and it doesn't allow for you're almost it's almost like Robin Hood. You're letting the rich get richer, and and the poor are still staying down there. So I would like to see something incorporated for the smaller people, definitely, to be able to grow, and I think that would be an awesome idea, man.
Yeah, well, I love the idea of hierarchies for a number of reasons, right? And that
Yeah.
is that if you're better than somebody else at something, generally you'll end up higher in the hierarchy, right?
Yep.
So as far as like the rich getting richer, and like you've got the grassroots team of people that seem to get, they do get supported more to grow faster.
Yeah.
That's because they got there, they've put in a lot of the work. You can use
Absolutely.
Nick as a good example. I love using him as an example when I talk to really young content creators all every day. Is if you go back and you look at even Nick's videos from 5-6 years ago, you can see the change. Is him
Hmm.
a person, the way that he talks, how entertaining and engaging he is, the level of effort that goes into his videos and to his thumbnails. So what I do think is that along that journey, the platforms that he used to get there had algorithms that supported organic growth better than
Yeah.
it does now. So that's why
Absolutely.
so
Yeah.
that's why now I think that if 343 took it upon themselves to put something that organically grew or helped young, smaller, younger content creation channels get, a little bit of the action, uh,
Yeah.
I think that would be really spectacular. Because, I think, yeah, you link it. Maybe you've got to have a certain amount of like followers or something like initially, but have it
Yep.
set reasonably low. Maybe you've got to have been active on Halo for a certain number of days before you get it. Like lots of things that you can do that kind of cut out a lot of the riffraff and stuff that they don't want representing their game. But if you like, you're a great example, right? You're a great content creator, and everything that you've got a lot of talent, the way that you communicate, the investment of time you've got into the game, all of that stuff is it deserves to have more people finding you, right?
Mhm.
But I didn't know about you, and I spend every single day going through Twitter, going through Twitch, going through YouTube, trying to find more content and content creators, right?
Yeah.
And so that's just, I think, a really good example of something that, like, because if you had this is like if I was talking to 343, or someone who's doing with the community side of things, this is how I'd put it, right? Do you love how much reach Ubernick and Mint Blitz get for Halo? Do you love that? Yeah, and they're going to say yes, right?
Oh, hell yeah, they do.
Yeah, yeah. So then it's like, okay, so what if we had 10 Ubernicks and
Right.
10 Mint Blitz? And in the time it took to create those 10 and 10, those two were now, at millions rather than
Right.
100,000, right? That was how I'd say it. I'd say that's what this organic platform can get them, right? Like
Yeah.
Halo has, I think on Twitch, it's got 1.2 million people following the channel, right?
Mhm.
We could keep people engaged longer and give them an opportunity, because maybe they don't want to follow Ubernick, right? Maybe Ubernick has missed, 1,000 of those 1.2 million people that could be Patman Gaming, absolute, fans, and that's all
Yeah.
they want to see and watch. And if there was something built into the game a little bit more, it might give you an opportunity to find that 1,000 people, right? Because like if you had a
Yeah.
1,000 people watching it, you could create content full time every day, and be making enough money from it, and your YouTube could be growing enough that you could put more and more effort into their game, give
Mhm.
it more attention, get more people playing it, have more people retained playing it. So I think, yeah, I just love the idea of them putting a really big emphasis on trying to help smaller content creators grow, while not forgetting the guys that are there. Like,
Absolutely. Yeah.
they all deserve to be there. I just think that there's that balance that needs to happen. But
Absolutely agree. Yeah. Yeah. And if that was like how it's coming off, that's not what I'm saying, that the grassroots people don't deserve anything because
oh,
they've worked for it. I mean, Nick's been around for what, almost 10 years now. Um, it's definitely a grind. It's just hard for the, like you said, the smaller people to get any kind of attention, especially with the algorithm. I don't even know how the YouTube algorithm works anymore, man. It was such a different landscape, even 4 years ago on
mm,
YouTube. And I think that's a problem that Twitch suffers with as well, is discoverability,
yeah,
is kind of lacking on that platform. But if they could incorporate something like you said, man, that would be absolutely amazing. And honestly, if there's any developer that cares as much about the community, it's Halo. It's 343. We did see with that when we were talking about that Halo Waypoint app earlier, there was a community tab, and even in the game when they were showing like the armor hall and all that stuff, it said community. So
mm,
how cool would that be, like under that, to have something like that? It's besides just like a message of the day or whatever, or upcoming events, to have some content creation like features would be really, really cool.
yeah, for sure, man.
Yeah.
But tell me a little bit more about yourself for now. We've just had about a 45-minute conversation about
Whew.
Infinite, which I love, man. That's what I was
I
hoping
do too.
for.
Yeah, time flies when you're having fun, man. I could talk about Halo all day.
Yeah,
Um, as
but
far as myself personally, I'm a father, a husband, father of two little girls, and a husband. Been with my wife for 11 years this year.
wow,
So yeah,
congratulations. That's awesome.
thank you, sir. Thank you. She is supportive as hell, man. I could not do what I'm trying to do without her.
Mm,
She knows it's my dream to do this for a living. I'm still a ways off from that, obviously, but I have, like I said, my goals set in place. I have my inspiration, to provide for my family. Um, like, dude, at E3, she knows how big E3 is for me, and she's like, all right, I'm gonna. Her sisters live about an hour and a half away, in a nearby city. So she took the kids with her. She went to visit her sisters, and she's like, I know you need the time to focus, because I was up from Saturday at 8 a.m. till Monday at like 10 p.m. I didn't sleep any of that time, and that's the sacrifice you have to make, man. Like, especially if you're a father, especially if you're a husband. I mean, there's already if you're a single young kid out of college or something, you still have to make sacrifices, and usually that's sleep, but even more so when you have a family, to try to balance being a husband, being a father for your kids, and also grinding out a game that you love and still keeping that hobby while also maintaining doing content creation. It's a lot, and the number one thing that goes out the window is sleep. Yeah,
Yeah,
it's unfortunate, but if you really want something, that's kind of the sacrifice that you have to make. So
yeah.
um I've been doing YouTube for a little over 2 years now. I just passed, or actually this year, I think in August would be my 2 years on Twitch.
Hmm.
So I'm still fairly new into the game, but um I'm ready for Infinite to hopefully give me that drive to boost myself up a little bit more.
Yeah, awesome. How long ago did you say you started Twitch? Was it just
2 years in August, I'll be on Twitch.
two years in August? And when did you
Yep.
start the YouTube stuff as well?
YouTube was about January of 2 years ago. So I'm about almost 2.5 years into YouTube.
Yeah, because I was just looking at your YouTube channel, which I find awesome. So you've had that YouTube channel now for 2 years, and you're sitting at around, what's that, 4,130 subscribers, right?
Yep.
That's a really, really great start, especially in 2 years' time. You know,
Okay, cool.
yeah, that's fantastic. But what you're saying about the dedication is, if you have a look at your videos, right, in the last week, you've put out at least, is that like a video a day, pretty much?
Yeah, just about. Yeah. Yeah, I
Um,
got another one lined up today. So
Yeah, yeah. And that's that level of dedication. You're putting a lot of effort into it, and it looks fantastic as well. And from the videos that I was watching, it's all super relevant stuff that's interesting to watch, which is why you've already got that fantastic start. But I keep saying to a lot of the content creators that talk to me, is like, if you can build a following right now, same thing for for Divine Mind, right? We've only got about 236 subs. But if we can build a following now around Halo, then when the game comes out, it's the world is your oyster, right? Because
yeah, yeah, exactly.
you go from having a really dedicated group of people surrounded to the game to having all of these people brought back, attention, eyes. And if you're entertaining and engaging, and if you've got the foundations there, people will, it might not be something that they watch every single day, but the numbers are going to look better for you, right? And it's going to
Right.
help more people find you. So no, you're doing an awesome job. And in that kind of journey with Twitch, especially, right? How did you find starting out on Twitch?
It is a different beast than YouTube. I definitely take more pride in my YouTube content because I'm very particular. Like you said, you've seen a couple of videos. I'm very particular with my editing in my videos, making sure, I don't script anything in my videos, but it takes me a while to make them because I'm free forming. I'm just going off the top of the noggin,
Yeah.
and editing out every single I say or breath I take it takes a long time to edit that kind of stuff. Twitch is just raw.
Yeah.
You're live, you're on the camera, but it is a much harder platform to grow in. I think it's definitely helps that I have a YouTube with, a decent amount of subscribers that I could plug my Twitch when I want to, where people could see my links, because Twitch isn't, YouTube, people don't think about it, but YouTube is a search engine. It's Google, it's Google's search engine, and Twitch doesn't really have that discoverability that YouTube has. You can't just put like keywords into your titles on Twitch and hope people find you. It just doesn't work that way.
Mm.
You have to be I'm a totally different person on my stream than I am in my videos. I'm much more professional in my videos. I'm not cursing or anything. Twitch, it's no holds barred. I got a little bit of a potty mouth. So, you'll hear cursing. It's just a totally different side of me. I'm obviously a lot more outgoing in my Twitch stuff. You have to be a little bit more entertaining, and
Mm.
it's constantly evolving, man. It's a constantly evolving platform where you have to try to come up with, things to keep people engaged, people coming back to your streams. It's hard. It really is. It's hard to focus on my YouTube so much and focus on Twitch. Like I got to set a week aside coming up here to just focus on doing like new scenes on Twitch and coming up with creative stuff. It's definitely hard. People like Ghost are just really, really good streamers. Like it's a totally different beast. I am not the type of person who is like really good at welcoming people in that I don't know.
Mm.
I'm a little bit of a hermit crab. I stay to myself. I keep to myself a lot. Like here, I don't talk to people. I don't have many friends in real life. Only a couple that I really trust. So it's definitely a learning curve for people like me. But you go to people like Ghost Stream, and he's so welcoming, and he's always interacting, and he's got that smooth voice, just like, it's relaxing. He's got that chill vibe about him.
Mm.
And it's really relaxing to people. And some people are really, really good at that on Twitch, man, and creating an inviting platform. And I'm trying to get better at that myself.
Yeah.
But once I get to know you, I'll do anything for you. If, that's how I am. But it's about kind of being more welcoming at the beginning, getting to know people that I definitely need to work on. And that's something for any content creator that you guys should do, is always try to work on yourself, improve yourself, kind of tune out everybody else, because it starts with you. So, work on yourself, work on what you need to do some self-reflection, and you'll see the changes. So like you said with Uber Nick, man, I feel the same way about myself. Like looking back at my first videos, I'm like, oh my God, who is that guy? You have to find your voice. You have to find your confidence on a platform like that. And it takes a while. It's not always going to click right off the bat. So
yeah, for sure. And especially if you're a young content creator, you've got so much finding yourself to do, right? Like
yeah.
I watched a video from like over 10 years ago, one of my first videos that I put up, and I watched it the other day, and I was cringing at myself so hard. I was like, only you knew how much growing up and maturing you needed to do to be ready to
Right.
actually put out decent content. And so I think it's really interesting, like that you mentioned that. I think that younger content creators as well should just be, a content creator of ours that I'm super proud of is Fireboy. I don't know if you've heard of Fireboy before.
No.
But he's 16 and he's from Europe, and he streams, 4 or 5 times a week. He puts out at least 1 or 2 YouTube videos a week. He's active on his Instagram. He's active on his Twitter, and this kid competes in every competition that he can try and get his hands on. He's playing with some of the best players in Europe. And I'm looking at this kid who's just taking on board all of this, like really great advice and actively doing it. And, I'll say it confidently, like in Infinite, he's going to be someone that everyone's going to be like, oh, who's this kid? And he's only 16, right? And so I keep saying to him, like, you just got to be putting yourself out there heaps, because all of this is such a big learning curve for you, right? All of it is
absolutely
give you such an amazing opportunity to kind of shine. So I love that whole idea of kind of growing up with your content. Like, you were saying, you look back and go, oh, what was that
Oh
about?
yeah.
But
I still do that, man. Even when I'm editing, I can, most people are like that, where you can't stand the sound of your own voice. It's so hard for me to like edit a video of me, and I like cringe at my own. I hate like listening to myself talk. But you definitely see it. You see a growth, and then that's definitely the number one thing, is you always got to try to get better, because if you're not, somebody else is. It's a very competitive scene, and you always got to try to improve that content, or else people will go to somebody else. So yeah, definitely agree.
Cool. How did you get into Halo?
Ooh, this is an interesting one. 2001, watching my uncle and my dad play Halo CE on launch, and I remember the craze for the Xbox, man, trying to get one. My dad had a buddy at Target, and he was next in line. This lady was about to get the last Xbox. He saw my dad in line because they go back to high school together. And he tells the lady, he's like, wait a second here. Let me talk to my manager. You wait a second here, or wait to the side there. He sells my dad the Xbox, the last Xbox they have. It doesn't give it to the lady, which is effed up if you ask me, but it's an awesome story. So he brings it home. My uncle's like, dude, did you get it? He's like, no, man, I couldn't get one. He's like, oh man, and then he whips it out the trunk with Halo CE. He's like, oh, you got Halo, man. He's like, I've heard so much about this game. So I just remember going to the basement and watching them play, man, and just falling in love. And I was always a couple of years behind. When Halo CE came out, I was 9 years old. So maybe like 2002, I played CE on my own when my uncle let me play on his Xbox, fell in love with the series. And then I got my own Xbox, and Halo 2 came out. And about 2005, 2006 is when I actually started playing Halo 2. And I was still playing Halo 2 when Halo 3 was out, like 2008, 2009-ish. And the funny story is, me and my dad had a weird relationship growing up, man. We did not like each other. He always did things. So he saw I grew up with, my first system was a TurboGrafx 16. For those of you who know, props to you. And then I grew up with the N64 after that. And that's where I really got into gaming. Ocarina of Time was my first love. One of the greatest games of all time, if not the greatest game of all time. And that really got me into gaming. So then, I wanted a GameCube growing up. I told my dad, can I get a GameCube? I love Zelda. He was like, Anytime I liked something, my dad did the opposite. So that was my bad for telling him I wanted a GameCube. So he got me an Xbox. I was like, all right. Fell in love with Halo. I was like, Dad, I wanted 360 when Halo 3 came out. All right, he got me a Wii. So then I fell in love with Zelda again. You know, I played Twilight Princess and stuff. And I finally got my 360 on my 16th birthday. My mom bought me a cake with Master Chief from Halo 2 with the dual SMGs on it. I was like, oh my God, is this the year I'm finally going to play Halo 3? Because, you know, all my friends had Halo 3 already. It was huge at the time. You know, Halo was in like the front of the newspapers. Like Halo, if you guys don't know, Halo used to be absolutely massive. And I finally got my 360, played Halo 3, fell in love, man. And then my dad literally traded in my 360 for a PS2 because he wanted a Blu-ray player. And I was devastated. I never grew up with Sony, so I never like knew any of their games. I played Arkham Asylum was like my first game on the PS3. And then finally, when I moved out, I got my own 360. And you know, from there, I've been you know, early adopter of Halo. I've never missed a launch for a Halo game. Reach, I was there for the beta, for the launch. Halo 4, bought the console, bought the controllers, was there for launch. Same thing with Halo 5, bought the console, bought the controllers, was there for launch. And Infinite's gonna be no different.
Yeah, man, what a story. Hey, what a journey through.
So yeah, I know it's a lot, but you know, I figured it would be fun to tell. So
Yeah, no, it's good to hear. I love hearing that. And what's most interesting, and the reason why I like asking the question about how you get into Halo, is everybody has their Halo dealer, right? That kind of gets in. And yours was your dad and your uncle playing it in the basement.
Yeah,
you know, I think that's just such a
dude. Co-op Halo back in the day, man. It was something. Just watching them laugh so much. Like Halo has those wonky physics and just stuff that can only happen in Halo, and that's how you fall in love with the game. Just those fun elements. You're just like, what just happened, you know?
Yeah, I totally agree, man. It's one of the most fantastic things about Halo is the nostalgia and the memories that you can make with your friends. You know, like I don't feel like there's any other game that really has that. You know, as down as much as Halo does. You know, because each game is a beautiful adventure to go on, where so many things can go differently. And yeah, but so take me forward a little bit more, because you're, like you said, you want to go all in for Infinite. We talked about a little bit off the recording that you're pretty much doing content creation full time at the moment.
Correct. Yes.
Yeah, because COVID had a big impact on life.
Yeah, COVID had a huge impact on me. I lost a job I had for about 3 years that I thought was going to be my career. I had a pretty good job down here with full benefits. I was actually helping build buses, school buses at a factory. I was a quality insurance, and then I got on the line, started building the buses. So that was, you know, it was a good job. And then COVID hit, and the kids were out of school, and I lost that job. And I haven't really looked back since, because I really wanted to focus on the dream of becoming a full-time content creator, which, like I said, my wife has been super supportive of, and she's like backed me fully. She wants to see me do this, but at the same time, I'm definitely probably going to have to pick up a night job here soon, just so I feel less crappy about putting her in that kind of situation. And now with the kids out of school stuff in the summer, it'll be a good time to get something going. But yeah, that I've been doing full-time content creation and really ramping up again with the Halo Infinite news. You know, I try to release at least 2 videos a week. But with the Halo Infinite news, man, we're definitely kicking that up now and trying to get back into doing more streaming. I took a little bit of a break from streaming about a couple months ago. So trying to get back into doing at least 3 to 4 streams a week if I can. And it's really just about hammering down a schedule at this point and getting in and committing to that schedule. That's something it's really hard to do with the kids, especially home now. So I got to, you know, find stuff for them to do and then balance that with streaming. So usually it's just late night streams, which not Ghost is obviously the late night Halo 5 guy. So, you know, I'm usually on MCC. So, you know, he'll give me a lot of raids and stuff. It's in the wee hours of the morning, but it's definitely hard. COVID was definitely a blow to the family, but like I told you before we started, I think everything happens for a reason, and maybe this is the reason for me to really focus on growing before Infinite comes out and seeing where that takes me.
Yeah, awesome, man. And you know, I like to kind of get to know her a little bit more outside of the game. Like obviously, you're a father of 2, and you and your partner have been together for 11 years now.
Yeah,
love that. Tell me a little bit about like, do you is exercise and like health and fitness stuff important to you, or do you not get much time? I mean, you've got two little ones, so that can be pretty all encompassing.
Yeah. As far as like physical exercise, sometimes I try. I used to be really big into sports. Loved football, loved basketball, even golf, tennis. Tennis is a very fatiguing sport. So I try to do that. I've gotten out of it probably within the last year. COVID strikes. I got a little bit of a COVID belly here. Definitely need to get back into it. But yeah, I used to go to the gym and stuff and kind of try to, build up strength, endurance, hit cardio, burn calories, stuff like that. So I definitely need to get back to that. And I rather just play sports, but I broke a bone in my foot. So playing football, I haven't played football since I broke that bone because I didn't get the surgery. So it kind of hurts to run like at full speed. And I would like to get back into that. Maybe even like golf, something like golf, just get out, enjoy the outdoors more.
Yeah.
It's a pretty frustrating sport, but at the same time, like rewarding. So
Yeah. I've only just started getting into golf as well, and I'm not very good. But
yeah, it's hard, man. It's
when you
hard.
when you're playing well, you're playing well, and that's
Yeah,
really
exactly.
great.
Yeah,
But
I compare golf to like I don't know if you've ever played Dark Souls, where it's
briefly, yeah,
okay, extremely hard game, but once you finally beat that boss, you're just like, yeah, I finally did it. The golf is like the same way. It's like super frustrating, but when you're playing good, man, it is the most rewarding feeling, man. It's awesome.
yeah. No, that's awesome, man. Well, we're gonna have to find a way, see if there's anything I can do that can help you to get back into that exercising, because it's so
Oh
important.
yeah,
And like,
it
if
is.
you've got these big goals to succeed in Halo Infinite, I promise you, if you're doing a little bit of exercise here and there before stream, on stream, whatever, even if it's just 10, 15 minutes, you get those endorphins going, you're going to be more
Yeah,
confident, more entertaining, and healthier, and that's
yeah,
definitely what we want. One of the guys in Divine Mind, his name is Bowen. He just recently was starting to feel like he was getting like aches in his forearms, and I said to everyone, I was like, guys, are we doing any like stretching and mobility stuff? And I hadn't thought about it because I've always been really fitness orientated, right? So I didn't even
mhm,
think about the fact that people wouldn't know if they're feeling tight to stretch, right?
right.
Or what stretches to do. So I made this mobility for gamers video that I put in our Discord, that is just, like probably about 15 minutes of stretching that you can do, in the morning or before you go to sleep, or, whatever, after you've been sitting down all day, or, long gaming shift, that'll open up your body and just like help you not feel as bad. Because as gamers, it's not high impact stuff, right? So it's not like you're going
Right.
for a run and your feet hurt and you're going for, or your knees hurt, or you're lifting weights and your muscles get sore, and you don't really tear anything, right? So all this really slow, progressive injuries that can come up. And if we want to be gamers for a long period of time, like do it for a career, you've got to look after yourself in the same way that an athlete looks after themselves,
Yeah,
right?
I absolutely agree. Yeah.
If you're going to sit in that chair and you're going to, not sleep for 48 hours and make content,
Yeah.
you got to be thinking about, all right, what else do I need to do to make this the healthiest way possible, so that 2, 3, 4 years, 5 years from now, 10 years from now, after Halo Infinite's had plenty of updates and it's going, how can I still be doing that to the best of my ability and not be, deteriorating?
Right.
That's essentially what happens, right? When we sit still, is our body just slowly starts going, don't need this, don't need that, and start
Yeah,
kind
exactly.
of
Yeah.
stuff that takes energy to make. So, but I'm bringing that up not to like, put pressure on you, but just because I can see how much you want this, and
Yeah.
and how talented you are at content creation, and I just think there's so many people that someone like you could be an amazing role model for, in showing them and saying, hey, like, look at, I'm doing all this stuff as well,
Right. You
because
have to DM me that video too, because I'll check that out for sure.
yeah, for sure, man. I'm gonna make a better version of it,
Okay.
and upload it to YouTube. When I do that, I'll just send you the link. You can definitely
Okay.
watch it.
Sounds good.
But yeah, like for everybody watching, it's just such an important thing to be able to take it on board yourself. To like, it takes self-discipline to do, but that self-discipline
Absolutely.
will help you in other areas. Whether it's staying on a schedule for streaming, or staying in a schedule for sleep. Health and fitness will help you in so many ways, and the confidence that you get from it is incredible. And I think gamers as well get a little bit of a bad rap around anxiety and depression and those type of things, and endorphins do wonders for that
Yes.
type of stuff.
Yep.
Like
Absolutely agree.
training a little bit. So and that's something that I like to just mention in every podcast. But Outside of that, did you go to uni or anything and study or?
No, nope. Fresh out of high school, 18 years old, had my when I met my wife, got her pregnant with our first kid. So I went right into the workforce and just started working, trying to, save up money for the kid. And that was, when I look back at it, I have no regrets. Like like I told you, firm believer, everything happens for a reason. Also a firm believer in our past experience make us stronger as people, and you got to learn from that kind of stuff. And yeah, I did not go to university, thinking about maybe going, and if I do get the time to, learn some more stuff to help me with what I want to do with YouTube, video editing, maybe graphic design, getting better with my thumbnails and things like that. And, um, maybe like communications, because I could definitely learn how to be a better communicator. So, there's a bunch to learn. I've tried to self-teach myself everything that I have learned as far as editing and all that stuff. And I'm always down to learn new tricks. So it's definitely something I'm considering.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. Awesome. And there's a kind of a few questions that I ask everybody. I gave you the heads up at the beginning before we even started recording. So first thing is, if you looked at yourself 5 years from now, all right, Halo Infinite's been out for 4.5 years.
Mhm.
You've got plenty of content out there, I'm sure. What's the dream version of Patman gaming look like? What's your dream reality 5 years from now?
Over 100,000 subs, hopefully, by then. That's definitely the first goal. I obviously just don't want to reach a number and just be like, all right, I did it, I'm done, because that's just not how it works. You have to keep evolving. But I want to do this for a living, man. It's my dream. There's few things in life that I'm more passionate about than Halo.
Mm,
And I ever since I was a little kid, man, I was to the point of obsession. I think that's why my dad probably was like, dude, you're not getting an Xbox. Like, when we would go to school, I would draw a Master Chief. In art class, I made like a Master Chief pottery freaking figure that I gave to my parents. And
yeah, yeah.
um, when I was learning HTML coding in high school, I made a Halo 3 skulls website, like how to get the skulls, and that was my project. Like, I've always been obsessed with Halo, and now I'm trying to turn it into a healthy obsession, kind of, like to do something positive and to kind of do my little part in the community. So I definitely, would love to do this for a living, whether it be streams or my YouTube content or both. That's where I want to be. I have a goals and set for, the launch of Halo Infinite. I want to be at least 5,000 subs on YouTube. I want to be at 1,000 follows on Twitter, 1,000 follows on Twitch, and we're almost there on Twitch. I got to do a little bit more on Twitter. So it's just going to be a constant grind. But 5 years from now, I definitely want to see myself as one of the, like, oh, Patman game, I watch videos, like, oh, like up there with the Uber Nicks, up there with the Mint Blitzes, up there with the Hidden Xperias, the late night Halos, like all those guys are inspiration. Halo Cannon, all those guys are inspiration for big channels to try to do better. So
Yeah, awesome, man. Love that. Because yeah, I'm gonna keep track of that. I've got a slow list growing of everybody that I talk to on the podcast and their 5 year goal, like what it is, that reality. Uh,
yeah,
and we'll touch base maybe once Infinite's been out for a few months, and we'll do another episode of the podcast, see what's changed,
sounds good.
see if we can
Yeah,
help motivate each other to hit those goals a little bit more as well. Because I'd love to see you as successful as possible for sure.
yeah,
Um, the
appreciate it.
the last question that I ask as well is obviously Ghost tagged you in. The idea is we want to bring people that can add a valuable conversation. And I think just both of us sharing our views on Infinite at the start, everyone getting an opportunity to get to know you and how you got into content creation, see that you're managing that with the family and that you've got really great content creation goals as well. That adds a lot of value, I think, to the community and to the overall story of what's happening. So who's someone that you think would be great for me to have on the podcast, have a similar kind of talk and add some more value to the community?
Okay. I would say my good friend Kevin Kulex. If you've probably seen some of his videos, he's a good friend of mine. We used to do a podcast together. We used to do a Halo focused podcast together, and he's really helped me along the way of even when I was at like 500 subs, he was like collaborating with me. He said he used to be a pretty big believer in my content and stuff. So I'd have to give him a shout out, get him on here. He's a really cool guy, very down to earth, very genuine guy. So give him I already told him because I know how you do. So I already told him, I said, yo, I'm going to recommend you. So be on the lookout.
Cool.
He's going to reach out to you. So yeah, definitely Kevin Kulex. He's a cool dude.
Cool. Yeah, I definitely know of Kevin already, so I'll send him a DM and we'll get that started. Be really interesting to chat because again, I know a lot of his content. He's been going really hard over the Halo Infinite stuff, putting out lots
Yeah.
of videos. So yeah, it'd be good to get him on them. Before we finish up, though, is there anything else you want to add or chat about or put out there that I may have missed?
No, man, this has been an awesome experience. I appreciate you having me on the show, giving me a chance to be on here. It was a really, really cool discussion. I would love to do it again sometime if you'll have me on.
Of course, man. Like I said, yeah, it's good. The whole point of like getting someone to, for you to recommend someone is just for this network and community of people to grow.
Yeah,
Like I
absolutely.
love being able to meet people that in the community that care as much as about Halo as I do and about the community as I do. And, that's kind of my mentality about how we're going to grow as a business, but also as like a part of the community is just by, exactly being a part of it, and
Yeah.
sharing the passion that I've got for it. And we had the Real Life Spartan on for the last episode, and
Yep.
when I was chatting with him, it just made me think about how supportive everybody is. Like, and I love that about our community, and I think that one of the best underused tools that we have in our community is just to work together a little bit more. Because we
Yep.
are such a small community, and everybody knows who the big content creators are, and then we've got a few people that are kind of in that middle ground, and then we've got a bunch of people down the bottom here, and in that bunch of people down the bottom there's a really good like number of quality content creators that there's no reason why they couldn't be up higher, right?
Right.
And I think that it's kind of our duty before Halo Infinite comes out to find those people and kind of bring them up a bit and be like, all right,
Yeah.
we need as many people up here as possible, creating good content and showing how amazing the Halo community is, so that once Halo Infinite comes out, we've got this huge web, right, of just places for people to get stuck in Halo. Google
Yeah.
something, YouTube something, Patman Gaming grabs that new person, Divine Mind grabs those new people, and you see Ubernick and Mint Blitzbrag bringing all these people to Halo. I think that's super important. So no, I appreciate you saying that.
Absolutely.
But yeah, we'll definitely make time to chat again. I want to keep track of your story, man. I've got no doubt you're going to be successful. And thank you so much for taking the time to actually chat with me, man. I know that you're busy and you've got your stuff you're doing and you've got the family as well. So thanks again. Really
I
appreciate it.
appreciate it, man. No
Yeah.
problem.
And for everybody that watched this episode of the podcast, thank you so much. It's you guys that are watching and leaving comments and giving me suggestions on who to have on and that type of thing that makes a really big difference to what I do. So again, if you like the conversation, we did a little bit of a different formula today. I wanted to get away from the timeline version that I normally do and kind of go with just something that's kind of a little bit more topical, talking about Infinite and then moving into the Patman Gaming more specifically. So if you liked that, definitely let me know in the comments. I want to make sure that we're constantly reinventing and making the podcast as interesting as possible for everybody that watches it. So thank you guys for watching. Again, if you want to keep up with Patman Gaming, down in the description, he's got links for everything there. Go and show him some love and help him to achieve those goals. And anything else from you before we sign out?
No, thank you guys.
Awesome, man. So yeah, thanks everyone again for watching. I hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you all in the next episode of the podcast.